We're going to go now to a presentation. Lois, are you with us?
Yes.
Hi, Lois. Thanks for
Hi.
joining us today.
You bet.
So I'd like to welcome my friend and longtime colleague, Lois Simonds, owner of Gardening with Nature's Design, and she'll take us on a tour of Wayne Whitney's garden in Berkeley, which she designed and she and her team installed. You can visit this garden on Saturday, May 3rd on the Bringing Back the Native Garden Tour. So this is a really interesting video because Lois begins by showing us the architectural features that she and the homeowner designed. And these include this like amazing pinwheel tiling pattern patio that is surrounded by a native plant garden. And Lois has a really just a great eye for design and an interesting way of thinking about designing gardens that I always really enjoy. This garden also has a wetland that collects water from the roof, and this protects the local creek from scouring, and it allows for a wider plant palette than one would normally have, and it keeps the garden green longer. So we'll hear about those things first, and Lois will take us on a tour of the plants. And why don't we just launch into the video, and then we'll come back to you, Lois, when we're done. Is that good?
Good.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Lois Simonds, and I'm the
So I
owner of
think that
Gardening
Jessica's
by
probably
Nature's
working on the
Design.
video. And while she
My
is,
apologies. Let's have you unshare your screen. It seems for
sorry,
some reason when you're sharing, I can't share.
my,
So let's fix that and then let's try one more time. All right, let's
oh,
start here. Can you see it on your screen, Kathy?
yes, I do see it. Thank you.
Wonderful. I'm going to hit play and then let me know if you can hear the audio.
Yes, I hear the audio.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
You. Hello, my name is Lois Simonds, and I'm the owner of Gardening by Nature's Design. My client came to me initially asking that I build a patio here in the back garden. He was considering building with bricks for the patio, and I suggested that he use large stones because of the size of his home that he had beautifully remodeled and the deck that he had put in, and the infill in the railings of that deck create a beautiful pattern, one that draws you to see the pattern and also to see the space surrounding the pattern. So I wanted the deck to have the same spaciousness and largeness as the house and the deck itself. So I wanted the patio to do the same, to reflect and complement the house and deck. So I chose these two stones, these cut stones of antique black limestone. And I chose the shape, the oval shape for the patio and the size of it. And I asked my client, who's a higher mathematician, to make an application for the layout of these two cut stones. And he designed that layout so that the pattern never repeats. It's just really gorgeous. And then we put it in. In order to do that, we had to deal with what the garden was. This was a 1950s garden. And it had all the traditional plants, rhododendrons, wisteria, the pittosporum, smoke trees, and lilacs. So what we had to do, what we initially had to work with, was a big swing set right in the middle of where the patio was going to go. And on top, growing on top of the swing set, were two wisteria plants that had been here for 50, 60 years. And their roots had gone deep into the ground. So what we had to do is we actually had to excavate this entire area, go 2 feet down and pull all the roots of the wisteria out. And then return the soil, compacting it down to form a basis for the patio. And then we put down a layer of virgin base rock, which is drain rock and crushed stone, and then a top layer of the crushed stone, the blue path fines, to form a basis for our stone, our antique black limestone. And so we set the pattern. Then I wanted to bring us into the patio, but I didn't want it to be as geometric, our pathway into the patio. I thought that extending it into the pathway would be a little oppressive and a little too much. So what I did, I used antique black limestone again, but I used the form of flagstone, which is a free form and one that you have to cut and create the pattern yourself. And so that's what I did. You come into the garden. I had to lead with this flagstone people around into the patio, but I also had to lead them into the area below the deck. And then you can see how the flagstone follows a pattern so that you would naturally follow it into the deck. The next thing that I wanted to bring into this patio, I wanted to surround it about 2/3 with a wall. And the wall itself is of Connecticut blue tumblestone. And what I wanted to do is raise it to 18 inches so that people could use it to sit on and they would be comfortable. The wall itself goes 6 inches below the patio to stabilize it in the ground, and then it rises above 18 inches. We use the antique black limestone as a cap, which is very nice because it creates a really nice space and area to sit on. And also it creates an overhang in which we can put the, where is it? The underlighting for the patio, which at night will splash an arc of light onto the patio. As you can see, it's an oval, and it comes into what we call a wing wall that borders the steps down into the pathway to the back of the patio. This was quite a challenge because all the stone, as you can tell, is interlocking. So the stone never ends at the same spot. They never meet at the same place because that would weaken the wall. And so we have it interlocking. And the same is true. We interlock it into the wing wall. It was quite a challenge, but it was also fun. This pathway just goes down. It is sloped so that it goes down over the end of the garden to a swale. So it basically takes whatever water is overflowing from the garden and the patio down back into the swale. There's another water feature that we have in that all the water from the roof of the house was placed to a catchment, which is here in the wetlands. And the catchment is basically a basin, 3 feet deep, 4 by 4 feet wide. And it captures all the water from the roof and it brings it into the garden. And when it fills up, it overflows. And therefore we have a wetlands here. The catchment is just drain rock with a cover of soil. So it is infiltrating all that water into the soil in the surround, into the garden. If this soil is appropriate in a garden, that will actually raise the water table and allow plants to, once they've established to draw water from that table longer than it would be otherwise if the table was lower. Over here, we have California, all California natives. This is a ribes, a California currant. It's the ribes sanguineum, and it's the white icicles. It'll get to be about 6 feet high, so it will hide this fence, and it'll provide berries for the birds. This also, over here, we planted 3 sunset Arctostaphylos, otherwise known as manzanitas. Manzanitas are very diverse, and I like to utilize them in the garden because of their diversity. This is a shrub manzanita. It'll get to be 3.5 feet high, and it's called sunset because its new leaves have an orange glow to them. Behind the sunset, we have a refugio Arctostaphylos, and I just love it. It reminds me of like a little teddy bear. It's just so full, and so it retains the look of a shrub, and yet it's a tree. It'll get to be 8 feet tall. So this fence will be completely hidden, and this will be lovely and full. Over here, as we line the pathway, we have penstemon, Heterophilus margarita BOP, and just an incredible blue lilac flower. It's just gorgeous. And we have the eyelash grass. And I find the eyelash grass to be very delightful because, as you can see, its flower bloom looks just like eyelashes. And as it establishes itself and develops, there'll be hundreds of these here. It's just kind of fun and a delight. You'll also notice we have the milkweed, Asclepias fasciculitis, and it brings the caterpillars for the monarch butterfly. We like to plant it close to plants that will then allow it to cocoon on their leaves, that have big, hardy enough leaves that the cocoon can hang from the leaves. This is white penstemon. It's really lovely. We have terracotta yarrow. And then we come to the red flame yarrow, which is just beginning to show its color. And this is Arctostaphylos densiflora Howard McMinn. It is a manzanita. It's a shrub, and if properly maintained, unlike a lot of manzanitas, it will keep its lower leaves. Unless you want the architectural look of the bark, which you can also prune it to expose. But in this case, it's a backdrop, and it's going to provide a shield so that you don't have to look underneath the deck. It will grow to be 3.5, 4 feet tall. Alongside it is a Rhamnus californica. It's a coffee berry. It's called that because its berries look exactly like coffee berries. It will grow to be 8 feet tall. Rhamnus californica tomentillo. So, and here's another Howard McMinn. And then here we have a chaparral mallow, and it has pink flowers. It's just establishing, but soon it should have the pink flowers, and ordinarily they flower from May to October. And in here we just placed, and they're going to grow to about this tall, a woolly blue curls. I love this plant. This is a hybrid. It's the Midnight Blue. And the reason we use the hybrid is because the woolly blue curls is much more challenging to establish in a garden. It's erratic, whether it will like the garden or not. And it's also more erratic in its form. The ground cover is another Arctostaphylos. It's emerald carpet, and it's quite the lady. It's very delicate. It's very nice in its growth, and it's a beautiful deep green. Here we have on the north side, we have huckleberries, which is basically our native blueberry. And once it establishes it will give off a lot of huckleberries. It likes to be in the shade. And I'm just going to jump to this. In the backdrop, you can see the beginnings of an elderberry. And it will get to be 12 feet tall and spread out, so we won't be looking in the neighbor's garden. And it has the most beautiful, it's like lace, the flowers. And they're just like this. It's not a specific flower. It's a whole arrangement, like a finger arrangement of lace. And it's a soft yellow. It's really beautiful. And they're actually, parts of the elderberry are edible. You have to be careful with the elderberry. I have a friend who puts them in pancakes. And we have introduced here the twinberry. And you can see it is aptly named because it has 2 flowers and hence 2 berries. And then in this huge mass here that has taken over the wetlands is sneezeweed. It's a daisy plant. And it's actually the first time. It's a wetland plant. And first time I've grown it. And I love its exuberance. Once it is done flowering, we will prune it back, and then you'll be able to see the rest of the wetlands. There's a lovely, beautiful rush reed, which is a reed, California reed, in here. I'm going to take you to a kind of bird's eye view of the wetlands from this angle. You can see the California aster, and here you can see the yellow-eyed grass. It's past its first bloom and going to seed, and it's in throughout the wetlands garden. And in here, you'll see here is sedge, the Berkeley sedge. You can see it over there. We have bordering the wetlands some coffee berries, and I'm going to show you our ground cover, which is a snowberry, and it's doing beautifully. I love the blue-green. It's really gorgeous. And this is the coffee berry. And right behind it, very small right now, it will be slow grower, but it's so beautiful and it's so much fun. This is a hazelnut, a California hazelnut, and it will actually bear hazelnuts. Over here, we have coyote mint. It's going into the coffee berry here, this shrub. Kind of love that it's right nestled in. Won't do it any harm. And this is the other coffee berry. And then right in front here is the Salvia apiana. It's the white sage. It's the sage that is sacred to the Native American and is used for cleansing spaces. This is the compacta. It's the first time we're planting this plant. As you can see, it's very magnanimous in its flowering stalks. These will be, all will come out as little white flowers in here. And this is another coyote bush, the kangaroo's paw. And behind it, this is going to be a real knockout. This is St. Catherine's lace. It's a buckwheat, and it's called Eriogonum giganteum because it will be gigantic. It will come up to here, and it will spread all the way to here and here. And it will shoot out blooms that are also white but full. And next to it is the Salvia clevelandii. And this is a Winifred Gilman. I love the Winifred Gilman because its flowers come in this whorl, just different like column of different swirls and whorls of flower color, and it's a deep, deep purple, the deepest purple that we get in the Salvia clevelandii. So I especially like it. You have to be careful with it, with animals around, because it is a bit rigid in its stalk. So this is a young garden, and as it grows, it will end up enclosing or better surrounding the patio and creating a sense of place for the people who are sitting here and enjoying the patio. And so it will create a surround, and it will also delight in terms of the senses because of the thyme, the various plants, the lemon balm that have beautiful scent, the lavender, the herbs, the rosemary. So it will be kind of a full spectrum garden in terms of the senses. And I love creating a sense of space and a sense of harmony. And now I feel like we are complementing what the beautiful home that my client has built in deck with an open, spacious patio, and given it a sense of place by surrounding it with primarily native plants around it, and bringing some delight, hopefully, to the children as well with the edibles, and to our cook in the garden. So once again, I would say that the pathway leading in is there with irregular shapes to create a sense of movement and ease of shifting from one place to another. And the patio itself gives you a sense of, wow, this is really gorgeous. I'd like to feast my eyes on this and stay here. A sense of place, of rest and enjoyment. And I hope you've enjoyed this video.
Well, that was lovely, Lois. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So let's see, can you tell us when was this garden planted?
It was planted in the winter of 23.
Okay, so it's still pretty new, but it looks great. I love all the different manzanitas that you have there. You have quite a variety of them.
I love manzanitas. They're fantastic. The diversity, they're amazing. Yeah, they're one of my favorite plants.
So for those of you watching, I know the plant list went by quickly, but this video and all the others will be put up on the tour's YouTube channel. So if you want to look at the plant list more slowly in the future, you could watch this video and then freeze it and do a print screen if you wanted to see the plant list in detail. The water catchment system is very nice. I love the sneezeweed that you have back there and the yellow-eyed grass.
Right, yeah. Well, there's the sneezeweed, there's the Berkeley sedge and the yellow-eyed grass, and there's the asters as well. Yeah. So Yeah, it's really a fun garden. And I love how the plants fall on the wall of the patio.
Yeah, very nice. And that patio is just amazing. The stonework, like that you got like that oval that you created an oval out of stone and then the pinwheel pattern. They are really complex stonework.
Yes, it was.
And you did a beautiful job with like the rounded flagstone look, like leading up to that more geometric pinwheel pattern. It was nice.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I hope it just naturally leads people in the direction they wish to go in. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot
Let
of
me say that Lois used what we've called Berkeley sedge in this garden, but there's kind of two Berkeley sedges. One is our local native Berkeley sedge, which is Carex tumilocola.
That's the one I use.
Yep. And then there's another one that is actually, it was called Berkeley sedge, still is sold as Berkeley sedge, but it's actually from Eurasia and it's quite invasive. I know because I have it in my yard and I'll never get rid of it. And that is Carex divulsa. So I just want to warn people, I think of it as Carex repulsa. That's how I remember. Like if it ends with the SA, don't get it. You want to be sure and get our own true local Berkeley sedge. Um, Let me say that Lois, this garden will be open on Saturday, May 3rd. On the upcoming garden tour, Lois will be there all day. She's going to be giving a talk at 11 o'clock on textures and colors in the garden, and a talk at 2 o'clock on creating a sense of place. And you can see another of Lois's gardens in Walnut Creek on Sunday, May the 4th, the Horner Garden, and there'll be a video on that garden tomorrow as well.
Yeah, and I'd like to say that the success of the garden also depends on the prep work. I think I saw there were some questions about successful weeding and stuff. And one of the things that we do that allows for a great deal of success is we weed twice. A lot of gardeners will weed once, and then they plant, and they're surprised when the weeds come back again. But when you're initially weeding, what you're doing is you're disrupting the soil and you're opening it up for any dormant seeds to come to the surface. So what we do is we weed initially and then we weed again. We actually encourage those weeds to come up to the surface and we weed again about 4 to 6 weeks later. And so we have very little, hardly any weeding to do in the upkeep of our gardens afterwards. I mean, obviously, there are certain weeds that require a different approach, like oxalis, but it's very effective. And we're also very careful about pulling out the roots so that if there's ivy, I think that was brought up again, it's really imperative it goes along the surface and then it drops down a deep root. And we get those deep roots out. So that allows for very successful planting so that our plants are not later overtaken with weeds. And the other thing that we do is we soil test. We soil test all of our gardens. And this is important to do at the beginning. It's because it's so much more effective. But what we do, we soil test for specifically for a California native garden for any soil deficiencies for the plants we're putting in. And it really helps tremendously for successful planting. So.
Let me say that Lois recommended the soil testing. My own front garden, after we remodeled, we had to replant and it was not doing well. And I had never tested the soil before. And Lois told me about the soil testing and she uses Perry Labs, Perry Labs in Gilroy, I think. Is that right?
Uh,
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah.
not in Gilroy, but
Yeah, that neck of the woods down
that
there.
neck of the woods.
Perry
Yeah.
Labs. And it was not inexpensive. It was $250, but we'd also sunk a lot of money into like the whole project. We had to do something because our plants were not growing. And after we got their results back and we got the organic results and we applied what they suggested, which I cannot remember, like bone meal and chicken feathers and I don't know, iron or sulfur, I can't remember, but that finally our plants did start growing after that. So that was a great recommendation.
Yes, and the other thing is that we don't simply spread the amendments on the top of the soil. We incorporate it 6 to 8 inches down so that the roots of the plants have immediate access. And also, when we garden, we don't simply amend the specific plants, we amend the entire area with the understanding that there's a coherent root system and that the mycorrhizal root system is extensive throughout the garden and allows for endurance in the plant.
Mhm. Okay, well, that was a fantastic presentation. It's a beautiful garden. I want to say if people would like to see it, you can visit Lois and this garden on Saturday, May 3rd. Lois, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for
Awesome.
having
I'll
me.
see you again tomorrow.
You bet. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, all right. So we're going to go on now. So Native Here is an all volunteer project of the California Native Plant Society's East Bay chapter, which has been a long time tour sponsor. And I wanted to say, Lois, I forgot to ask you if you would be willing to stay on in the chat, but if you will, Lois, and if you know how, just like pop on into the chat and let people know you're there and answer any questions if they have them. So I'm going to start again. So Native Here is an all volunteer project of the California Native Plant Society's East Bay chapter, which has been a long time tour sponsor. Native Here is a volunteer-run nonprofit nursery dedicated to growing locally native plants sourced from ethically collected seeds and cuttings from Alameda and Contra Costa counties. It's located in Tilden Park, not far from the Tilden Botanic Garden. As you've heard, local native plants provide the best habitat for our local wildlife. Native Here typically has over 100 species of local native plants in stock, varying seasonally. The nursery grows many popular garden plants, as well as some that are rare, endangered, or threatened, and found only in microregions in Alameda and Contra Costa counties. Their stock is organized into geographic localities based on where the seeds and cuttings were collected in the East Bay. You can shop in person or order your plants online. Native Here is open year-round every Saturday from 10 to 2 for in-person shopping or for your online order pickup. You can visit Native Here online at nativeherenursery.org for information about locally native plants, to check their current inventory, place an order for pickup on Saturdays, or to learn about volunteer opportunities. You can call Native Here at 510-549-0211, or you can email them at nativehere@ebcnps.org with your questions.